Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's great to be with you. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central with our current and prospective distribution partners, as well as entrepreneurs from around the country. We talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, but it's all about building financial literacy and increasing access to capital. Ever since that we've received a grant to essentially give away Shelf Corps, it has really been our focus to provide relevant, targeted education in terms of making sure everyone understands some of the benefits of a fundable shelf corporation. I think we all probably have a basic understanding that a fundable shelf corporation, it's like a business in a box. Within 7 days, we're able to deliver to the client with no out-of-pocket cost a compliant business entity, and then we address all three C's. And that's really the secret sauce. That's why we can go out and guarantee capital raises, because we address the variables that impact approval. The three C's, of course, are credit, collateral, and capacity. Today, we're going to talk about credit, specifically business credit. Business credit, of course, is different than personal credit, so we're going to review briefly some of those differences and then talk about what we do together to help entrepreneurs have strong business credit with their fundable shelf corporations. But first things first, each day we want to pause for a moment, thank all of you who are our Shelf Corp resellers, and make sure that you're open for business. You should be ready to take this knowledge, this information today, and start enrolling clients, selling them a fundable shelf corporation to help them accomplish their goals and generate income for you. Is there anyone on our live Zoom this morning that is not open for business? Because if you've let us know you want to be a reseller, we should have sent you the reseller implementation packet. Has a number of documents, including the editable client agreement. Take our information off, put yours on, change pricing however you want, and then you should be open for business within 15 minutes of getting that email. So I think everyone's on track. We have lots of different resellers, different backgrounds. The average reseller, this is just a side gig for them. The average reseller does a deal a day. Now, we have some, of course, that do more, some that do less, but sounds like we got number one covered. Great. So let's get into our topic then today. I want to make sure that you understand that our fundable shelf corps do include business credit and trade lines. It's built in. Because remember, we said we need to address the three C's if we want to have a fundable business, and therefore this is meant to be an all-inclusive approach. So we started by asking the question, what are the differences, or what's the key difference between business credit and personal credit? Can anyone type into the Q&A? It's like a chat box. What are the primary differences between business credit and personal credit? All right. So Anthony says business credit can build much more quickly. That's correct. Okay. Ben says it's a little bit of a side topic, but Ben says it's important to separate personal from business from business credit. That's right. We want to have a strong business credit profile so the business, in many cases, can stand on its own. Doug mentions that the scoring is different. And we could have a whole discussion on this. I just want to make sure that we all understand that businesses have business credit, individuals have personal credit. There's a big difference. But maybe the most important is number 4 here, I'm typing in, is that businesses have a much larger borrowing capacity than do people. So there's lots of reasons entrepreneurs should care about their business credit. It's important to have a credible business. It makes the business stronger. for their capital raise, which we'll get into. But we'll never, I don't think we'd ever be able to get as much capital if we were just trying to get it through our individual credibility as what we could through a business. So we'll have a different discussion a different day and go into this, but there's much larger capital raises available if we build out the business creditworthiness of our entity, and that's included in the Fundable Shelf Corporations. Okay, so let's get into some of the talking points. And I emailed all these out so you'd have them in advance. So we see in the background Dun Bradstreet. There are three primary business credit bureaus. Dun Bradstreet, or D&B, is one of those. And so one of the first things that we're going to do for all of our Shelf Corp clients is help them get their DUNS number. So we want to get the DUNS, and that's free. We want to get the DUNS number first. Then we're going to start adding trade lines. And so those trade lines are included. Now, when we talk about trade lines, we're talking about real, usable, primary trade lines. Got ahead of myself, didn't I? So we're not talking about let's go out and buy some trade lines and they'll post, they're not real, can't use them. That gets a little gray. You and I don't want to do anything gray. So when we talk about, like yesterday, we showed the $50,000 Chase business credit card that was on yesterday's training. That's a real trade line, right? So not only does it report, it's actually usable. We have the card, we can go use it. So part of our value proposition for the Fundable Shelf Corporations is providing trade lines. Now, to get a Paydex score, which we'll get to a bit later, but a Paydex score is like the scoring algorithm for Dun Bradstreet. You actually have to have a number of payment experiences. You can't just say, oh, I want to have a good score. So we're going to add trade lines, create payment experiences, so these shelf corps that your clients are buying look really strong, and by them looking really strong, then they have much more borrowing capacity. All right, next, having business trade lines is crucial for establishing and building a strong business credit profile. A strong business credit profile built through positive trade lines makes it easier to secure loans, lines of credit, and other forms of financing. So hopefully this makes sense. And I know there might be this inclination, well, let's just skip this and let's just go get that real big loan. And we could move forward and apply for the larger loan. But what do you think the lender is going to do? If they see that our business has had access to credit, managed credit, paid as agreed, don't you think that that makes the business stronger for larger capital raises? Of course it does. And so that's what we're trying to focus here is clarify. We want to start adding trade lines. We talked about this some yesterday, but we want to immediately start adding trade lines for each shelf corp as soon as it's assigned to the new owner, the new client. You might say, well, why don't we have trade lines before it's transferred over? Well, let's imagine it's a credit card. If it was a credit card that's attached to the business and the prior owner, would you want to be responsible, or would your client want to be responsible for someone else paying their bills on time? Of course not. So these trade lines will be added in promptly once we've transferred the entity to the new owner. A business trade line refers to any credit account listed on a business credit report. Now, D&B is just one of them. There's D&B, Experian Business, and Equifax Business, but we're going to focus our conversation today for simplicity on Dun Bradstreet. So these are extensions of credit. So these could be loans, lines of credit, and even like net 30, net 60 accounts. We'd prefer to not deal with those net accounts like Uline and Granger and all of those. While those will create trade lines and will help, those tend to be small. And all joking aside, size matters. So we really want to add large trade lines, not little bitty trade lines, because it has a greater impact. So that's why, well, we'll talk in a moment about the normal trade lines that we'll add. If you have any questions, let me know, and you can type it into the Q&A. All right, so we're going to help all participants, which means buyers of Shelf Corps, have a strong Paydex score. Paydex scores go from 1 to 100, and we need to have at least an 80 to be considered credible. So no, we don't have to have a 90 or 95 or 100. We just need good enough, and good enough is an 80. And so that's going to be a real focus of ours going forward, is helping each client that buys a Fundable Shelf Corp from you, helping them get their DUNS number promptly, and then helping them add these trade lines, real trade lines that they can use. And again, we showed you an example yesterday of a Chase business credit card. Doesn't report on personal credit. It's under the EIN. It's real. It can be used for the business. Now, let's get to the scoring algorithms. So for Dun Bradstreet, so first we're going to get that DUNS number, which is free and easy, not a problem. Once we have the DUNS number, we're going to start adding trade lines. You might say, well, how many trade lines? Well, in general, the more, the better, just like with personal credit. The more trade lines you have, the stronger your profile. But Dun Bradstreet requires at least 2 trade lines to be able to generate a Paydex score. And there's a few other nuances, but I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. But we have to have at least 2. One won't do the trick. We have to have at least 2. So we're going to help everyone get their DUNS number, which is that unique identifier. So it's similar. You might say, well, why don't they just use their EIN? Well, DUNS has their own number. Dun Bradstreet has their own unique identifier. The EIN is not what they use. It's a DUNS number. So we're going to ideally help all clients obtain at least 1 business credit card and 1 company automobile. Now, if they say no, they don't want that, it's okay. It's not being forced on them, but that's our guidance. That's going to be our recommendation. Business credit cards typically will be less than 100,000, but it could be smaller, of course. But a business credit card's not going to be $250,000, but it's a nice, good trade line. The company automobile can be anywhere up to 200,000. It's hard for us to get company financing for company vehicles above 200,000. Now we could always get multiple vehicles, but this is going to be typically, for those of you that are resellers, you should anticipate that once we get this Shelf Corp over into your client's hands, which is about 7 days from the time of them paying you, because they pay you, they don't pay us, they pay you. We're going to work with them to get their DUNS number and then add 2 trade lines. But we'll work with them on adding the trade lines that they want and they prefer. There's lots and lots of different trade lines, but our normal recipe will be 1 business credit card, a real credit card that they can use, and a company automobile. If they don't want those, they don't have to do those, but that's going to be our normal recommendation. All right, so then we just have our contact information at the bottom. If you need to call and talk to someone, you can give Madison a call at 903-352-3390. For those of you that are resellers that really aren't very good at generating clients, we can provide you clients. We're in an interesting position. We have more clients than we have time to work with, so we can provide you clients in what's called the Client Placement Program, the CPP. So essentially, these are clients that have already contracted. It's not a lead, it's not a prospect, it's a client that's signed, transfer them to you, and they've already been pre-approved for enough funding to purchase a Shelf Corp from you. So that's great if you need help with that. Quick cash, we've talked about separately on 509 Pacific, more information. If you're not a reseller, we use these terms interchangeably. Grant coordinator or reseller really means the same thing. But if you're not one, but you'd like to be one, there's no cost, there's no contract to sign, no strings attached. Again, you can go to our nonprofit website, fill out the form. I think we're current now. We fell a little bit behind, but I think everyone that has inquired, we have got them set up. So what will happen is if you inquire, then we'll send you that implementation email I made reference to up here. It'll have a couple editable documents, including the editable client agreement. Remove our information, put yours on, change pricing, and you'll be open for business. You should be within 15 minutes. If you missed any of our past trainings or want to go back to those are on YouTube. All right, so let's get to the questions, comments, concerns that any of you have, which our primary topic today is making sure that, like yesterday, we talked about our new lender model. And so if that doesn't make sense, go back and watch yesterday's training. on YouTube. And today we wanted to clarify our greater emphasis on helping Shelf Corp clients build their business credit and get trade lines added. So that way they have a stronger business. Because what does it take to get business funding? We need to have a fundable business. That starts with having a compliant entity. So we provide that, right? So the entity is compliant at the state level, the federal level, it's in the client's name. We provide the business, all the documentation, the business plan, financial projections, the EIN, all of that. But above that, what do we need? We need to have the 3 C's, and that's what is our secret sauce. We provide the collateral for free, it's included. We assist with the credit. And then, of course, capacity or cash flow is the third. And we have what we call the opportunity fund, whereby clients that are buying Shelf Corps can participate in the opportunity fund and have those daily injections of deposits. But collateral and capacity is not our conversation today. Our conversation today is the third C, business credit. We want to try to separate the business from ourselves individually. We want the business to be strong. The way that we have a strong business credit profile is by adding trade lines, and that's what we've discussed today. Doug asked, if you've recently purchased a vehicle, can we move that over? Yes. So again, I gave you a real example. We had a vehicle. It was financed in, frankly, my name. We went back, refinanced it in the business's name through Chase Auto Financing. And so now it's a business trade line. So absolutely, we can move current vehicles over underneath the business or help clients acquire a new vehicle. Great point, Doug. Thanks for bringing that up. Ben's asking about how personal credit plays into trade lines. So there's different types of business trade lines. Some of them do not require a PG. Some of them do not care about the personal credit worthiness of the business at all. So that's the great news. So it's not all or nothing. Now some do, but many of them don't. So no, we won't be blocked out from having a fundable business, having a strong business credit profile, even if our personal credit's not strong. However, remember, one of the deliverables with the Fundable Shelf Corp, thanks to the grant, is to help people with their personal credit as well as business credit. Okay. Joe's asking, yeah, so what we need to do is for any of your clients that were prior to today, we just need to get them scheduled. They'll schedule with us, and then we will work on this with them. So this is our burden. And this brings up a really good point that I'll probably close on because we need to end early today. And forgive me for saying this. I think some of you are not setting up your boundaries properly. So we've covered several times that there's really 2 phases of what you and I do. Phase 1 is the Shelf Corp purchase. They meaning the clients, purchase the Shelf Corp from you, and then we handle the implementation, but they buy it from you. There's zero risk of us not delivering everything that we promised to in that agreement. Zero risk. So we'll do it 100% of the time. So phase 1 is getting the client a fundable business by them buying a Fundable Shelf Corp from you, which makes you money. Then phase 2 is then going into funding. And so we'll call it both kind of the funding prep, which this would be involved with, and going into funding. We handle that second agreement. So let's imagine you're a realtor. And so you're helping one of your clients buy a house. You have certain aspects as a realtor you're responsible for. But if it's regarding the mortgage, it's not your responsibility. You need to allow the mortgage loan officer, the MLO, to work with your client on the mortgage. We're going to take responsibility for working with your clients on the funding. We're going to take responsibility for getting their DUNS number and adding these trade lines. So should you know that this exists, because this is a valuable attribute of a Shelf Corp? Yes. But know your boundaries. You're not responsible for adding these trade lines. So when you all start asking a million questions, it's like the realtor getting way too involved with the mortgage process. So in our model, you're a reseller, cost you nothing, no contract to sign. You go out, you help people buy Fundable Shelf Corps, no out of pocket. You get them financing, they pay you. They actually get reimbursed for that through the grant. Then we move into the second phase, which is the funding phase. We manage that. So we're not here to train you about everything that we do in phase two. It would distract you, it would bog you down. It's not your role. So I was talking to David yesterday, and it resonated with him to have a better set of boundaries. So I think some of you freeze up. It's like, well, until I know everything, I can't go sell a shelf court. Well, think about that. Do you think if you're a realtor, you'd have to know everything about mortgages to go sell a home? No, you do your part and other people do their part. So we're the funding part. They have a contract with us to facilitate the funding, and we guarantee them at least 100,000. So there's no risk to the client. We can do a lot more. But that was just a good side point that David and I discussed yesterday. All right. Jordan asked about the order. Yeah. So what we want to start doing is immediately after the client gets the shelf corp. So in other words, they sign a contract with you, then we send them a finance app, they fill out the finance app, we get them offers, they accept the offers they want, they pay you, and then we need 7 days to transfer that shelf corp over to them. At that point, we can go right into the business loan, SBA or otherwise, or better yet, so if that's what the client wants, we can do that. But better yet, what we'd like to do is we want them to start seeing value right away. So let's say that we get them a $50,000 or $100,000 business Chase credit card. Is that real? Is that something they can start using right away? Of course. But so we would like to add those trade lines before we apply for the large loans. But if the client doesn't want to wait, they don't have to. So Jordan was worried of, is this going to slow the process down? It's building a stronger file, but if the client doesn't want us to add the trade lines first, they don't have to do this, but this is best practice and what we'll be recommending for the reasons we stated. All right, well, I've got to run. We've got all the investors coming in. They're standing here looking at me. So I'm going to go take care of those topics. We'll be back tomorrow morning. If you need anything else, let us know. You can always give Madison a call. But just let's go out and let's enroll a client today. Don't be bogged down. When we give you new information, it's not designed to slow you down, but it's just showing you the incredible breadth of value. Because again, someone buys a Fundable Shelf Corp from you, zero out of pocket. We facilitate the financing for it, and then through the grant, they get reimbursed. So all of this is in the end free to them. It's incredible value. But let's go out and produce. We're still looking for a few more state directors. So if you're interested in that, let us know. And we will see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.